May 13th, 2025, and this video is called My Presentation About the Mutant Botanical Garden. Now, my presentation was given on May 13th, 2025 to the Berea Garden Club, and it was given at the Berea Historical Society in Berea, Ohio. Now, I've known the Berea Garden Club for about 30 years. We would give talks, they would donate to the gardens that I worked at, and so I know these ladies for a real long time. So they wanted me to give a presentation on a new subject, and I thought, hey, maybe deer-resistant plants. But then it dawned on me that, hey, maybe I can give it about the Mutant Botanical Garden. So that's what I gave it on. Basically, a history about the gamma gardens, the influences of what caused me to think about and try to create the Mutant Botanical Garden. So this is the presentation about the Mutant Botanical Garden. My name is Mark, aka the Mutant Gardener. I never thought I'd have a mutant garden. I never thought I would witness in my lifetime an event that has not really been taken seriously. It's actually my creation that I have obsessed about starting on August 3rd, 2018. The nuclear meltdowns in Japan in 2011 at the Fukushima nuclear power station, I believe, have a butterfly effect that one event can have repercussions into our future and fate of mankind. In 2011, researchers at the Case Western Reserve University in Ohio detected trace amounts of iodine-131 in rainwater samples, which were linked to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan. It took 1 month to spread across the globe. With that in mind, I started noticing anomalies in the garden, and though it's like finding a needle in a field of haystacks, I started finding them quite frequently. Now, this isn't the first time someone was fascinated by these genetic mutations. Long-lived radionuclides are something new to us as a species. They did not exist on Earth the entire evolution of complex life. Although they are invisible to our senses, they are 1,000,000 times more poisonous than the poisons we are familiar with. They cause changes in our DNA beyond human comprehension. They are lethal at an atomic or molecular level. They emit radiation, invisible forms of matter and energy that we might compare to fire. This radiation burns human tissue. The nuclear fire cannot be extinguished because it burns at an atomic level. Because it disrupts the normal functioning of the genetic code, I have called it genetic blasphemy. A deviation from the correct code or structure creates chaos during mitosis that can lead to a cascade of problems. These plant anomalies are the manifestations of the misguided mitosis. This didn't start in 2011. Atomic gardening, also known as gamma gardening, began in the 1950s as part of the Atoms for Peace program. This program aimed to find peaceful uses for nuclear technology after World War II, and atomic gardening involved exposing plants to radiation to study its effects on botanical species and potentially create new, improved varieties. Gamma gardens were established in laboratories in the United States, Europe, the Soviet Union, India, and Japan. Government research into atomic mutation of plant material has continued into the present day, most prominently at the Institution of Radiation Breeding in Japan, the world's largest gamma garden. In 1960, dentist turned entrepreneur Clarence J. Spiaz founded Oak Ridge Atom Industries, Incorporated, to sell atomic products. Spiaz, via Oak Ridge, became a major player in the citizen atomic gardening fad. To encourage interest, Oak Ridge sponsored a contest for the most unusual plant with the prize of $3,000 and agreed to purchase or pay royalties on new varieties deemed to have commercial value. In 1961, C.J. Spiaz took his atom-based seeds to the Home and Garden Fair in Cleveland, Ohio, which claimed to be the first atomic garden, With the shift of political climate away from atomic energy and a failure of crowdsourcing in producing any noteworthy results, the Atomic Gardening Society declined by the mid-1960s. Soon, modern genetic engineering has replaced atomic gardening. There even was an episode in Gilligan's Island called Pass the Vegetables, Please, where Gilligan finds a crate of radioactive vegetable seeds. The plants grew quickly and grossly misshapen, but the castaways are so hungry for new items in their diet that they consume them quickly. The plants, when eaten, give the castaways superhuman powers. Of course, after he realizes that the vegetables are radioactive, the professor saves the day by making a homemade soup to absorb the radioactivity. The IAEA Mutant Varieties Database, now known as the FAO/IAEA Database of Mutant Variety and Genetic Stock, the MVGS, is a joint initiative by the International Atomic Energy Agency and the Food and Agricultural Organization. It was established to catalog and disseminate information on crop mutant varieties developed through induced mutations, primarily for breeding programs and genetic analysis. By the end of 2000, the MVD had recorded 2,252 officially released mutant varieties across various crops. This period marked significant growth in mutation breeding, with nearly half of these varieties released in the preceding 15 years, indicating a renaissance in the use of mutation techniques. The database continued to grow, documenting over 3,200 mutant varieties across more than 210 plant species by 2021, and over 3,500 varieties in more than 240 species by 2022. These included cereals, pulses, oilseeds, vegetables, fruits, fibers, and ornamentals, with gamma rays being the dominant mutagen. A significant portion of these varieties are food crops, including cereals, rice, wheat, barley, pulses, soybean, chickpea, oilseeds, sesame, sunflower, and fruits, banana and grapefruit. The ruby red variety of mutant is a common consumer product. An estimated 2,000 mutant varieties of food crops out of the 3,300 total are likely introduced into the food market for consumption, based on the release for cultivation and focus on edible crops. Now, that's one thing that I told my audience, that almost all our food are actually mutant varieties that were created through this program. And they were kind of shocked at that knowledge, knowing that what we are eating are just a bunch of mutants. I created my own experiment by placing Swiss chard seeds in a uranium vase. Uranium vases, part of a broader category of uranium vase and Vaseline jars, were most popular from the 1880s to the 1920s. Their popularity began in the 1830s when uranium oxide was first used as a glass colorant in Europe, particularly in Bohemia, creating vibrant yellow-green hues that fluoresced under UV light. That's why I told him that there was a florist room in the gardens, and there were tons of vases in there. So I happened to put my black light on, and they glow green. And the pictures show you with my Geiger counter that was ticking away when I found these. Now, this glowing effect made uranium glass highly desirable for decorative items like vases, tableware, and figurines. Production peaked in the early 20th century, but sharply declined during the 1940s due to World War II, when uranium supplies were redirected for the Manhattan Project and nuclear applications. From 1942 to 1958, U.S. production nearly halted, and global output was limited. After 1958, some manufacturers resumed using depleted uranium, but the popularity never fully recovered due to radiation concerns and stricter regulations. After 1 month in the vase, I germinated the seed and planted them in the garden. One grew into a giant mammoth 5-foot leaf. Now, the Canna Bengal tiger, a cultivar which is a sport of Canna, Wyoming, emerged from radiation-induced mutation experiments in the 1950s at India's Agro-Horticultural Society. It was later popularized and named Bengal tiger after being imported from India in 1963 by Glasshouse Works. Some sources also refer to it as Pretoria, named by Sidney Percy Lancaster in South Africa. The name Bengal tiger was chosen due to the plant's distinctive, variegated leaves, which resembled the stripes of a Bengal tiger. Henry Ross is credited with formalizing this name to resolve confusion. Now, Henry Ross was my mentor. The atomic bombing of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, exposed the environment to intense radiation, raising questions about its impact on plant life. Specific studies on plant mutations in Hiroshima are scarce, but a 1989 study on Nagasaki offers relevant context. American and Japanese botanists found that ferns in Nagasaki, 40 years after the bombing, carried radiation-induced genetic mutations, with offspring showing abnormalities and poor maturation. A 1947 report noted superplants in Nagasaki's atomic blasted soil, with some crops yielding twice as much as normal, possibly due to radiation-induced stimulation or altered soil conditions. The comparison between Hiroshima's plant mutations and Fukushima's anomalies is a fascinating lens into the long-term ecological impacts of radiation. Hiroshima's mutations were tied to a single high-dose event, with recovery driven by time and minimal residual radiation. Fukushima's anomalies, meanwhile, stem from chronic, lower-dose exposure, with ongoing concerns about soil and water contamination. Now imagine a mutant botanical garden, a living museum bridging these histories. Visitors wander paths lined with an enormous collection of mutant plants, their DNA subtly rewritten. I'm a passionate advocate for the strange and extraordinary world of unusual plants. I've always been drawn to nature's oddities, plants that defy convention with their twisted forms, vibrant colors, and unexpected adaptations. The Mutant Botanical Garden isn't just a collection of odd plants. It's a living laboratory pushing the boundaries of science. This Mutant Botanical Garden, bursting with unusual plants, frankenflowers blending beautifully with the bizarre, will be displayed in an amazing garden concept unlike any other. This is my challenge to create a nuclear nightmare in bloom. The last time I had an obsession, I spent 30 years not living a dream, but trying to help someone else's. This is my dream, and it's more of an addiction than an obsession. This is all I think about. I pray to God that I can accomplish a dream come true, that it comes to fruition. From my past adventures, I've been told, you can't read the room, quit playing the victim card. I thought that for what I sacrificed, there would be a jackpot at the end of the rainbow, except all I got was fool's gold. The only thing I'll say about GV is that Henry would tell people that most people usually do something if there's something in it for them. I asked myself, what did I get out of working 30 years? What was in it for me? Nothing but trying to carry on Henry's dream. It was like I had 4 aces and I bet the house and lost 2 5 deuces. The wild card got me. Well, now I'm going to think about myself. I'm going to take another gamble and hope to win the jackpot. I'm on a mission and nothing will stop me from giving it my all. I just know that if I'm successful, it will be the most unique botanical garden in this area and will house the most extraordinary collection of plants. Sit back and watch The Mutant Botanical Garden, an apocalypse in petals, a nuclear meltdown in bloom. So that was the end of my oral presentation, And I next turned on the video for my campaign for the GoFundMe page for my dream of building the Mutant Botanical Garden.